So the first step in this tutorial is to enter into the starport services with your Cobra MK3. You then want to go to outfitting. For this particular run, you just need to store all your hard points because you're not going to need any weapons. So we're just going to go through that process now of just making sure our ship is as light as possible. We'll do the same for anything in the utility mounts. And within the core internals, you should have something similar here. The power plants, thrusters, life support, power distributors, all this type of stuff. We can, in this case, this ship is set up to do some battle. So what we're going to do is we're going to just put D class in here, which is all you're going to need except for the frame shift drive. Now in this case, my frame shift drive has been engineered. So I'm going to do this whole run with a non-engineered just to show what you would have to do with basically a default. So in this case, a 4D power supply. We're going to put in 4D thrusters. In the case of your ship, you're going to want to have a 4A frame shift drive. So in this case, I'm going to buy another one that's unengineered. And then I'm going to also change out the life support, make sure I've got a 4D life support. 4D power distributor. And, 3D power distributor, 3D life support, and a 3D set of sensors. So as you can see, we now have a 22 light year jump range here. Let's take a look at the optional internals. I've got a lot here that you won't need. So in this case, we're going to want to start with an empty hold. So this is basically what you're going to start with. You could have a basic discovery scanner here. So in this case, right here, this is the default. You could have basic right here, which is going to at least let you scan the star system for a bit of extra money. But if you can afford the advanced, get the advanced in there. So now we're going to set up our ship. So on all three of these 4 empty compartments, we're going to want to get passenger cabins. And in this case, we're going to go for ones that have at least 8 people in them. So in this case, it's going to be, as you can see, there's not much option we have here for the ship. So it's all going to be 4E economy class, and they're relatively cheap. And if you are in a star system that doesn't have these, I'll walk you through going through offline to basically get to a star system that'll sell these types of cabins. You're basically going to use eddb.io to find what star system you have to get to have these cabins. In these extra 2 slots, we're going to buy ourselves a docking computer to help us out. And a fuel scoop, which is right here. In this case, you're going to want to try to get the 2A fuel scoop. For a ship this size, you really want a 4, because a 2 is going to take a while to fuel up, but given the light year distance this ship is maxed out at, you're going to really need that fuel scoop to be able to do anything until you can afford a bigger ship. So it will slow you down just a bit. So in this case, that should be sufficient. Note, we have no shields, but if we lose our ship, it's not terribly expensive, and in all honesty, like 1 run is going to make more than enough to buy the ship multiple times. So that's basically it. So again, no hard points, because we want our ship as light as possible. No empty utility mounts, or nothing in the utility mounts, or core internals. Basically everything should be D. I'm actually going to change my reactive here, sorry. So lightweight. So you should have lightweight alloys, 4D power, 4D thrusters, 4A frameshift drive, 3D life, 3D power, and 3D sensors. And then you can't do anything with the fuel tank. And then under the optional, we're going to want 1, 2, 3, 4E economy classes, standard docking computer, fuel scoop, advanced discovery scanner, or basic, doesn't really matter. And you can't do anything with this. And that's it. That's your ship. So now where we want to go is we want to go to Robigo. So on the galaxy map, you're going to be searching for Robigo. This will allow us to plot the route here. Don't think I was actually recording, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to walk through it one more time, this time at least recording. So, just one thing we're going to do. Let's go through the outfitter. So again, in the case of the outfitter, we want everything empty, nothing in the hard points, nothing in the utility mounts. We want your lightweight alloys, which is the default, 4D power plant, 4D thrusters, 4A frameshift drive, a 3D life support, 3D power supply, 3D sensors, and a fuel tank, which you can't change out. Then under the optional internals, we want 3 4E economy classes, because the key thing is the 8 cabin capacity here. 1 standard docking computer, 2A fuel scoop, and a discovery scanner of some sort. In this case I have an advanced discovery scanner, but a basic will do fine. And then in the galaxy map, we are setting ourselves to Robigo. And in Robigo, we're going to Hauser's Reach right here. And again, we want to click the plot route rather than the select route. And we also want to make sure that here on our selector map, where'd it go? When we go back to the galaxy map on our selector map, we want to make sure that fastest route is selected. Just because if we take economical, it's going to take forever. We'll probably have like 90 jumps or 100 jumps, which is crazy. So in this case, we'll go back here to Robigo, and we will set our plot. There we go. Now we check how far we got to go. So in this case, with this ship, it's 25 jumps to Robigo. And we make our way. So feel free at this point to skip ahead, but in essence, maybe stick around for the first jump, and I'll show you how you get your fuel.
Disengage landing pad. Moderate speed on exit.
Just keep in mind that this ship has no shields, so you can't really run into anything, so just be careful. Yes, I'm crazy.
Frameshift drive charging.
Clear of station perimeter. Have a safe journey.
So one of the tricks with doing your fuel scooping is if you look at the top right here, it'll tell you what star you're going to.
4, 3, 2, 1.
And the trick is to look for stars that follow KGB, like the Russians, KGB FOAM, F-O-A-M.
Fuel scooping.
KGB FOAM stands for stars that you're able to scoop from. So in this case, this is a K-class star, which means we can fuel from it. So we just want to get close, not close enough that you're going to heat up. You'll eventually get kind of a feel for how close you need to get. But in this case, you just want to keep your fueling up, and you want to keep your heat. And in the bottom right corner, you can see the fuel gauge there, and it's kind of pulsating, and the blue is telling you how much fuel you need for the next jump. And the small little kind of gray area is showing how much fuel we have used, and that should be disappearing. And then eventually it'll tell you the fuel scoop is disengaged, which means we are full.
Fuel scooping complete.
There you go. And now we're going to set ourselves back to the star target. So in this case LP84748, and we're going to make our
Frameshift drive charging.
Oh, before we jump, let's just set our discovery scanner. So if you go under fire groups, you see the discovery scanner here. I'm just going to set this one to, that's my primary fire button, this would be the secondary. So in this case, primary fire button, and then I'm going to get rid of that panel. And now when I press my primary fire button, it's going to scan the entire star system. And in this particular patch, you want to be doing this for every system you go into. When the next patch comes out, it's going to change.
Frameshift drive charging.
Now we just make our way. So as you can see in the top right corner, it tells us we're going to a Class M star. So again, KGB FOAM. M is within that, so that means we can scoop it.
4, 3, 2, 1.
So one of the tricks I find with these smaller ships that can't take a lot of heat is I do just what I did here, is I kind of skirt the top part of the star until I engage my fuel scoop. Once it gets up to close to maximum capacity or near, I just kind of bypass it a bit, and as soon as it's out of my viewpoint, I basically slow myself down to 0. And you won't get full fuel speed, but it makes it pretty safe to scoop a star. And again, one trick is, see how the star went from red to orange? As soon as it goes orange, you can engage your frame shift drive without overheating. So if it's red, star's too close. As soon as it goes orange, roughly, you can just jump.
4, 3, 2, 1. Fuel scooping. Warning, temperature critical. Fuel scoop disengaged. Frameshift drive charging.
So this next star is an L class, which is brown dwarf. Again, that KGB foam, that doesn't fit, so we cannot scoop from this. Again, this is an unscoopable star.
Frameshift drive charging.
Class M is our next star. We can definitely scoop that one. And the trick is to try to scoop as much as possible.
4, 3, 2, 1. Fuel scooping.
Another trick you can do is what I just did there. So I passed the star a bit, so I was only getting about 45 fuel. If you then just, and I slowed like down to nothing, I've got my throttle to 0. If you then pivot your ship to face the star, it'll bump you up sometimes another 10 up or so, about another 20% increase in your fuel coming in. So it's kind of a good trick. You're safe then, you're not going to burn up. And in this case we're getting a little bit more fuel. Unfortunately, again, with this ship, with a 2 class fuel scoop, it's a bit small for the ship, but we want to maximize right now until you can afford a bigger ship. When I fly the larger ship to do these types of missions, I'll take the largest fuel scoop I can fit, basically to get there as quick as possible, and then I'll basically just, when I get to the station, store it out and refit it with whatever I need. Just gonna check, we have 20 more jumps to go.
Frameshift drive charging. Fuel scooping. Fuel scoop disengaged. Frameshift drive charging. Fuel scooping.
So one thing we're going to take a look at here while I'm still fueling is just the galaxy map. So in this case, what you want to be looking for is this line here.
Warning. Temperature critical.
When it's solid, that means you have enough fuel to get to this destination. As soon
Fuel
as it
scooping
dots,
complete.
the dot means you don't have enough fuel to get there. So we're going to keep fuel scooping until eventually it's solid all the way to Robigo. Once it gets solid to here, we don't have to fuel scoop anymore. So it's still a little bit of distance, but that's one of the things to look for.
Warning. Temperature critical. Frameshift drive charging.
I'm not too concerned about the overheating at this stage. So I'd say when we get to about 10 jumps, we probably don't need to fuel up.
4, 3, 2, 1. Fuel scooping. Fuel scoop disengaged. Frameshift drive charging. disengaged. Frameshift drive charging. Frameshift drive charging. Fuel scooping. Fuel scooping complete. Frameshift drive charging. Frameshift drive charging. Fuel scooping. Frameshift drive charging. Fuel scooping. Frameshift drive charging. Fuel scooping. Frameshift drive charging. Frameshift drive charging.
So as you can see here, we're fueling up, and when I get enough fuel to jump to the next system, it'll jump from this star here to the next star, and hopefully we're going to get a solid line all the way to Robigo in a second. There you go. Now let's see if we can get all the way to Robigo. There we go. So we're just going to fuel up the rest of the tank, and then we will just fly straight there, and no more fueling.
Fuel skipping complete. Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1. Fuel skipping. Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1. Fuel skipping. Fuel skip disengaged. Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1. Fuel skipping. Frameshift drive charging.
4 more jumps to go.
4, 3, 2, 1. Fuel skipping. Frameshift drive charging. Frameshift drive charging. Fuel scooping. Frameshift drive charging.
Now we jump into our final system, and then from here we're going to head to the starbase and dock.
Disengaged.
So one of the tricks I use for getting there as quick as possible is you just throttle up to full power. So in this case I have my throttle full power. You can see on the right side there the line's maxed out. And then when the timer on the location I'm going to reaches about 10 seconds-ish or so, then I'll thrust down to about 3/4 there. So in this case I'll go back to full, but you can see the line drops to about 3/4. It's about the fourth blue from the top. And that way you don't overshoot. Other way you can do it is to, in your key bindings, bind 75% power to a key, often like the question mark or the slash, and same thing. When you get to about 10 seconds, technically it's 7, but if you get to about 8, 9, or 10 seconds, you just hit that slash, it'll drop you to 75%, and you won't overshoot. So this particular base is on the inside of the rings. If you don't want to get kind of stuck in the gravity as you come close, you want to see kind of where the base is. If it's on the other side of the planet, typically what I do is I fly like past the planet and I come straight down so that you're not on the inside of the rings basically, because if you're on the inside of the rings it's going to slow you down a lot because of the gravity. So in this case we can see that it's facing us, so the circle's closer to us than the planet, so we don't have to do any of those tricks, we just fly right into the rings here. And again, the base is like right on the inside of the ring. As you can see, I haven't had to touch my throttle. When it's set to 75%, just brings you in. As soon as we get to 1,000,000 kilometers or less, we just drop out. So to make this a little bit easier, we did take a docking computer. To use the docking computer,
Welcome to our station.
to use the docking computer, basically when you're within 7.5 kilometers, in this case we're a lot closer, you just go into your contacts, your base, you request docking, and then you slow right down.
Access granted. Cleared for landing on docking bay 06. Automated docking approved.
And as soon as you as soon as you've been accepted, you bring your throttle to 0, and then the auto dock will kick in, and then you sit back and enjoy. Alright, so once we enter the base, we're going to fuel up. So in this case, in this system, I'm already fully allied with all three groups, so I'm fully allied. If you're coming here for the first time, you won't be allied with all three groups, so very likely there will be no passenger missions you can take. But if there are some passenger missions you can take, what you're looking for is you're looking for the ones that are to serious atmospherics. And you want the highest paying ones that you can take. So in this case, as you can see, I have like a 2.5 million here and a 2.5 million here. But again, these you probably can't get. I'm not sure what the reputation requirement is on this. It's not telling me. Yeah, but either way, if you have allied, you can do everything. But if you start out, you'll probably start out down here, and you won't be allied. In which case, these are all zeros with the passenger missions. If that's the case, and you can't take any passenger missions, then you have to kind of start with these types of missions. So you're basically looking for any of the missions that these guys give away, and you're just basically going to be going back and forth doing them. So in this case, it's kind of nice. We have some donations. You probably don't have enough money to do donations though. But yeah, you're basically going to have to get some of these missions and bring your reputation up. Once you get your reputation up, then you do your passenger missions. And in this case, one of the tricks you can do, because you just flew here, is you can sell your universal cartographics. So you click on universal and then confirm. Remember, we've been scanning every single system. That's why it's good to get an advanced scanner. And that will bump you up, and potentially it might bump the controlling faction up into friendly, and if you're cordial, it might be, or friendly, one of the second one. Once you get there, you might be able to get some passenger missions. So the other trick is that when you're getting the passenger missions to start, the first ones you can get, there's going to be some bouncing back and forth, but you're going to be looking for the ones that go to serious atmospherics that have a rep with a lot of pluses beside it. So again, the key is to get allied reputation first. So in this case, this one, we don't really want this one, even though it pays pretty good. But this one's a better one because it's got a rep plus 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 plus. So the idea is, because we can only take 3, you'll end up taking the 3 that have reputation. Same with the missions that you just did. If you do the missions, try to pick ones that have reputation plus 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 plus, and that will boost you up pretty quick. So about 3 of these will knock you like from this level to the next level. And then you're trying to get to allied, but if you can get allied with all 3, then the sky's the limit. So as you can see, you can grab a 2.7, and then in here we have a 2.5, another 2.5, and these guys we've got another 2.78. So a 2.7, a 2.7, and a 2.5. So right there we've got just over 7 million in money we're getting for one passenger run, which takes about 15-20 minutes at most. So you can be pulling in a good 28 to 30 million on this particular ship, which is considered a very small ship. So anyways, the next video will show how to actually do the passenger missions once we get there.